Today we continue with our class Shabbos Home, and this session and all of them should be dedicated in Zchus Refuah Shlemas of our dear Rabbi Lerner. His name is Yaron Ben Doris. Also Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariela Ora Bas Anna, Yimim Rasirachal Bas Brindel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra. Also a quick release of our friend Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina, and BeEzrat HaShem, and also safety of brothers and sisters in Eretz Israel and Iran. BeEzrat HaShem. Alright, so we continue today with our class Shabbos Home, and we're on chapter 17, and our topic is reaping. And we're on section, we started last time the section 8. And our topic is activity prohibited because they may lead to reaping. So as we understand, it's a rabbinic decree because it's like a fence. So we would not come to reap, meaning to disconnect something that is growing from the ground, right? And here's the list of activities. So let me read. We said it last time, but let's quickly review. So we're not allowed to climb a tree, leaning on a tree, placing an object on a tree, removing object from a tree, shaking the tree, smelling the fruit, smelling fruit, riding an animal, touching plants, moving fruit that fell from tree on Shabbos. So all of these are in the category using tree. Using tree. Okay, so now we're going into details. Applicability of the prohibition. Okay. The prohibition listed above applies to fruit bearing as well as the non-fruit bearing trees. So it says a fruit that you would not pick fruit, but people pick leaves and some other like cones and whatever, some other inedible fruits of the tree. Okay. The fruits of the tree, maybe, or products of the tree. Where is it? Okay. This prohibition apply to the trunk of the tree as well as to the leaves. Okay. So trunk meaning trunk. Continue. It applies even to the dead trees, and that are still attached to the ground. Although the Milacha Katseir does not apply to the dead trees, the sages nevertheless forbade these activities. So meaning that does not apply, meaning on a biblical level. The sages nevertheless forbade these activities, even for dead trees, in order for not to differentiate between the trees. The prohibitions listed above are not, however, applied to the stamp of the dead tree. Therefore, one is permitted to sit on a dead stamp of a tree. Dead stamp of a tree. Okay. Plants which are soft and flexible. Plants which have soft and flexible stems are excluded from the prohibition using the tree, since they do not bear fruits or have wooden branches. The sages were not concerned that people would cut or break something off from them. Therefore, grass is not included prohibition of using the tree, meaning that we can step on the grass basically. And one is permitted to lie. Okay, here we go. On the grass, despite the fact that one is using the grass. So, but on a tree we cannot lean, we cannot climb the tree. Okay, so let's do this sort of introduction. Yeah, so yeah, we did not start. It's still in. Okay, so it's some further away. Okay, so let's try to understand. The prohibition listed above apply to fruit-bearing tree as well non-fruit-bearing tree. So the sages were afraid that we're going to reap something from the living tree or even from dead tree. Okay, this prohibition applied to the trunk. The trunk meaning like the way I understand the bark. So they were the break of the bark. Okay. Trunk of the tree, as well as the leaves. So leaves, branches, and everything. Okay. It applies even to the dead trees that are still attached to the ground. So meaning, why does it apply to the dead trees? It's simple. People would not know the difference. So they would see somebody breaking a branch from the old tree, from the dead tree. So they think maybe it is allowed. You understand? So they would not put two and two together. That this is a dead tree and this is a live tree. Okay. Although the milacha of katzer, so the katzer is ripping, right, does not apply to the dead tree on a biblical level, right? The sages nevertheless forbade these activities even for the dead tree in order not to differentiate between the trees. So basically, as we always say, sages try to create this universal halacha, right? So it would be easier to follow, not to know all of this exception, all of the separate cases, but a person like a rabbi or somebody who wants to learn inside, like a deeper, we must learn deeper and see all of these cases that we can use as exception in a special circumstance. Okay, but on a surface level, it's forbidden. The prohibition listed above are not, however, applied to the stamp of the dead tree. Right, stamp on the dead tree. Right, therefore, one is permitted to sit on a dead stamp of a tree. So dead stamp of a tree or roots, right? Even if they extend it from above the ground of the dead tree. Okay. Continue. Plants which have a soft and flexible stems are excluded from the prohibition using the tree. So otherwise, otherwise would not be able to walk on the grass and or lie on the grass. Okay. Since they do not bear fruits or have wooden branches, right? So meaning it's nothing to break. I mean, even if the grass is being bent, usually it's going to stand up again after some time, right? The sages were not concerned that the people would cut or break something off from them. Okay, so I mean there are people who cut the grass and pick their teeth, but that's a different story. That's a different story. I mean that's right. Therefore, grass is not included in the prohibition of using the tree, right? And one is permitted to lie on the grass despite the fact that one is using the grass. Okay, so is it modest to lie on the grass? That's a different story. I don't know why a person would want to lie on the grass. That's a different story. Okay. Next one, C, heights of the tree. All trees and branches that are 3 tefachim, approximately 12 inches. So tefach is a feast. 12 inches, okay. So what is 12 inches? You have a ruler. Regular ruler is 12 inches usually, I think. Right, 12 inches, like a wooden ruler. So all trees and branches that are 3 tefachim, right, approximately 12 inches above the ground, are including prohibition of mishtamesh beilam. So meaning using the tree. Anything lower than 3 tefachim is regarded as a mere extension of the ground and is therefore excluded from the prohibition. One may therefore sit on the roots of the tree. So I think we had this question last time, right? So if it's less than 3 tefachim, and we actually learned this concept, I'm going to remind us, in a class of lots of halachas of brachas. So meaning we were trying to understand which bush, right? Which bush is considered to be tree halachically, and which is considered to be like herb, right? Halachically, right? So meaning on which fruits you would say the borei pri chayitz, right? And on which fruits you would say borei pri chayadama. So example, I think that the best example would be blueberry. So we said that depends what kind of the blueberry. So if it's a farm blueberry, so in the United States at least, so it's for sure it's higher than 3 tefachim, for sure. There is no doubt about it. Right? So it's pretty high. I mean, I don't know how many inches, 30 inches to like 40 inches, pretty high, right? But in some like a wild one in the forest, they're very low to the ground, and some of them lower than 3 tefachim. Right, and same I think with the cranberry. Okay, so we need to know exactly how, where this fruit came from. So usually, I think whatever we buy in the store, they grown commercially on the farm. Usually, unless it says wild, on the packaging. So I think you can trust them. And some on where we buy, it says that they import from different countries. So it says a product of this and this country. So you can actually look up and see how does it grow there. Okay. So again, 3 tefachim, 12 inches higher than 12 inches is a tree, right? So meaning you cannot do anything, right? And lower than 3 tefachim is considered to be fruit of the ground. So it's not considered to be a tree. Okay. And plus must have branches that survive the winter. So from next year is going to bear the fruits from the same branches. Fruit leaves. Okay. All right. So if you have a stump for a tree stump, so you can sit on the stump and roots. So roots even living tree. So if it's lower than the 3 tefachim, so I think most of them would be lower than 3 tefachim. There is no problem. You can see. Continue from the same section. The 3 tefachim are measured from the level of the ground that surrounds the majority of the tree. Therefore, if three sides of a tree are above 3 tefachim, and one is also forbidden, to use the side of the tree that is less than 3 tefachim above the ground. So it's very interesting point. So it says this 3 tefachim, it's average. It does not say average from the level of the ground of majority. Okay, so the word is majority, right? Because many times trees do not grow in a perfect flat surrounding. So it's some on a hill or some depression or something, right? So we measure from all of the sides and where the majority of the level of the ground starts with. Okay, so that's how we calculate the 3 tefachim. So he gives a very interesting example. So 3 sides of the tree above 3 tefachim, and one, right, and one is less. So one is forbidden to sit. Okay, because majority is above 3 tefachim. So meaning it's right. It's a tree itself. So these roots, meaning it's like a separate parts of the tree. Okay. Or it is a tree. So in a sense, it is a tree that grows through the ground. Yeah, it is connected to the main tree. We understand that, but it's still like separate entity. Okay. So and we go now to subsection D, applicability of prohibition. The poskim categorize the use of the tree into 3 different areas, using the tree itself, using something that is directly supported by the tree, using something that is indirectly supported by a tree. So, and I think we're going to build up on this. So, right. So again, the poskim categorize the use of the tree into 3 areas. So the easier thing, the way I imagine it, right? All these scenarios. So you have a tree, right? You have a branch, right? Extended, and you hang your jacket on a branch, right? So it's using the tree, and then you have a nail knocked into the tree, right? And you hang your jacket on that nail. That's using something that is directly supported by the tree. This is second scenario. And third one, using something that is directly supported by the tree. That is indirectly supported by the tree. Apologies. Indirectly supported by a tree, so it's double removed. What does it mean? So you have a tree, you have a nail. On the nail there is a jacket. And in the jacket, in the pocket, you have a siddur or something that not muktzah. Let's put it not muktzah. So can you remove something that not muktzah? So I think that's easy to to imagine all of these scenarios. I mean, otherwise when you read all of these cases, it sounds a little confusing. Okay. So number one, using the tree itself. So right, on Shabbos, one is forbidden to climb, right? To climb, lean, or place or remove the object from the tree or shake the tree. Okay, again. Okay, so we're going to go inside later on. So again, on Shabbos, one is forbidden to climb in a literal sense, lean on a tree. So even lean on a tree, if you have a ladder, there is lean on a tree, and you want to climb the ladder. Do you touch the tree? No, but it's still it is forbidden, right? It's going to be a second category. Lean on a tree. Place or remove the object from a tree. So meaning that we're afraid that maybe you're going to break a branch, something, right? Shake the tree. So of course, shake the tree is it would be forbidden. Okay. So continue. What does it mean shaking the tree? The shaking the tree means that they tie. If they tie a rope, no, it's going to be removed. Okay, continue. It's not exactly like a shaking, literally shaking the tree. Okay. Number two, using something that is directly supported by a tree. So it's a second category. Like if you have a nail, right, banging into the tree, and that we're talking about this nail. Including the prohibition using the tree is using something that is directly supported by a tree. For example, one is forbidden to climb a ladder. Okay, that is leaning against the tree on Shabbos. The ladder is supported by a tree. Therefore, climbing on a ladder is considered using the tree itself. This prohibition is referred to as using tzidei ha'ilan, the sides of the tree. Okay, so let's try to understand. Okay, so again, using that is directly supported by a tree. So this ladder is ladder that is leaning against the tree. So again, you don't touch the tree directly, but you're leaning on the tree indirectly, right? So it is forbidden on Shabbos. Therefore, climbing on the ladder is considered using the tree itself. Okay, no problem. So continue. Number three, using something that is indirectly supported by a tree, indirectly. So this indirectly, I think it's a little more sophisticated. So let's see. The prohibition to make use of a tree does not include using something that isn't indirectly supported by a tree. For example, one is permitted to use a swing that is suspended from the hook that was screwed into the tree prior to the onset of Shabbos. In this situation, one is not directly using the tree itself, rather one is using the hook that is attached to the tree. The sages did not forbid using the object, which is twice removed from the tree. However, this is only true if the tree does not shake when using the swing. Okay. Okay, let's continue reading, then we're going to review. Moreover, this leniency apply only when the hook was not affixed to the swing prior to the attaching it to the tree. In this case, the hook is considered tzidei ha'ilan, sides of a tree. Okay, and the swing the tzidei tzedadin, sides of the sides. So it's as we explained, double removed, which may be used on Shabbos. However, if the hook was attached to the swing before being attached to the tree, the hook swing combination is considered one entity, right? Whose attachment to the tree makes the entire entity, the hook and the swing together, the tzidei ha'ilan, sides of a tree. Consequently, it would be forbidden to use swing on Shabbos. So it sounds maybe a little complicated. It is a little complicated, but the bottom line before we start removing, reviewing. So if it's double removed, it's there is no problem. So what is double removed? So let me just summarize and then we go to details. Double remove, you have a tree, you have a branch, and from this branch, very strong tree, very strong branch, old tree. Meaning, I think it's not for adults. For kids who are light, there is no problem, right? So meaning there is a hook or hooks. Sometimes you need two hooks. I think in most of the time, is it always you need two hooks? Maybe yes, maybe no. I mean the different designs. So let's say, like, make it simple. You have two hooks that attach to the tree, and then on this hook you hang the swing. So it's hook is one level removed from the tree. Swing is another level removed from the tree. So you can swing on a swing. So there is no problem. Again, if you're not going to shake the tree is in a remote manner. So for example, the problem is, right? So kids want to play on the backyard, for example, right, with a ball. Although we say it's not preferably not, but let's say they didn't listen, they started playing the ball, and then they hit the ball, and it got stuck in the bush, right? And it's not like a bush, right? So you're not allowed to take the ball from there. Why? Because you're going to use the tree for sure, right? It's going to shake for sure. It's not maybe, for sure it's going to shake. Okay, so let's try to review, but we got the point. So if it's double remove, so meaning that the point that he was explaining, if you connect these hooks to the ropes of the swing, that's it. It's one unit. It's one in separate unit. So that you're not allowed to use the swing. It must be all of the steps done separately. First you attach the hooks, then swing the ropes of the swings to the hook. Okay, so let's quickly review and see. Let's fill all of the details. The prohibition to make use of the tree does not include using something that indirectly supported by a tree. So using the tree, right? Using the side of the tree and indirectly supported by a tree. So it's a double level remove. For example, one is permitted to use swing that is suspended from a hook. Okay, so here they use an example of single hook. Well, okay, let's use this design, single hook that was screwed into the tree prior to onset of Shabbos. So that's allowed setup. Okay, so before the Shabbos, no problem. So are you allowed to hang the ropes? I don't think so. No. So I mean, all of this must be there on Shabbos. Right? Swing like hang to the tree on Shabbos. Or not. I think we're going to see. So if there's only hook, can you put your jacket on a hook? Can you put this ropes on a hook? We'll see. In this situation, one is not directly using the tree itself, again, because it's double remove, hook and then ropes and your swing. Okay. Rather, one is using the hook that attached to the tree. The sages did not forbid using the object that which is twice removed, so meaning this swing, from the tree. However, this only is true if the tree does not shake when using the swing. So again, for kids, maybe it's old tree, strong tree, there is no problem. But for adults, I don't think so. Maybe, I mean, with the bigger adults, maybe that would be a big problem. So for sure it's going to shake. And not for sure, most likely it's going to shake. Moreover, this leniency apply only when the hook was not affixed to the swing prior to the attachment to the tree. That's how we explain it. It's not the single unit. If it's single unit, so there is it's not double remove. It's only one time removed from the tree. Meaning if you have everything assembled together, meaning the hook and all of the ropes. In this case, the hook is considered the tzidei ha'ilon, sides of the tree. Okay, so meaning like some side of the tree, and a swing is tzidei tzedadim, sides of the sides. So meaning a double remove, which may be used on Shabbos. However, if hook was attached to the swing before being attached to the tree, right? The hook swing combination is considered one entity, as we explained, whose attachment to the tree makes the entire entity, hook and swing together, sides of the trees. Side of the tree meaning would not be allowed to use. Consequently, it would be forbidden to use the swing on Shabbos. Continue. So this swing, I think it's an amazing example. Right. So next one is subsection E. And it says, activity included in the prohibition. We will now elaborate on the 5 previous mentioned activities, which include the prohibition using the tree. 1 second, is it 5? So the last list, just so we know, the complete list was 9. So they're going to go over the first 5. Okay. Number 1, climbing the tree. One is forbidden to climb the tree on Shabbos because one is using the tree. So that's straightforward. Swinging from the tree is similarly forbidden, right? So meaning swinging from the branch. Okay, no problem. So again, not allowed to climb the tree. And sometimes people build a tree house for kids. I mean, so it would not be allowed to climb on that. Okay. Unless it does not touch the tree. So some people say that they build that, they have all of this like supports, all of this supported beams, like in the ground. So like this tree house does not does not actually touch the tree itself. Okay, so I mean it's like among the branches, but does not touch them. Okay, so that's a different story. Would we allowed to use it? I mean, maybe it would be Mari sign. Okay, so that person explained to me. I mean, I was a little confused because I did not know like that people would do that. But looks like he explained to me. He sent me the link. People in our generation, they have so much free time on their hand that they don't know what to do with themselves. So you can buy a set. You can buy a set and build for yourself this tree house. Hopefully not for yourself, for the kids. Right. Okay, no problem. So meaning it's some of them, if tree is not that strong and they want to build like a bigger one, so they have like 4 poles, like with the metal poles. I think no wooden poles, and right, you have this deck and like it's a bit in between the branches, and that's what it is. Okay, kids enjoy it, I guess. Okay, so but in that case he showed me the picture. It does not touch the tree, so I think it's still will Mari sign, because that's not how I understand the tree houses are built, but we got the point. So subsection A, right? Climbing without knowledge of prohibition. If one climb a tree on Shabbos, unaware of the law forbidding him to do so, he must get off of the tree as soon as possible, since the sitting on a tree is itself considered using the tree. Okay, so all these separate cases. The first one is very simple, right? Very simple. Is what the person did not know that they're not allowed to climb on the tree, so he told them so that he must climb down as soon as possible. So I give you a personal example. So I walked in the shul, and this cleaning guy, he's very nice, sweet guy, but he does what people ask him. People ask him on Shabbos to go and buy newspaper. He buys newspaper for himself. Guess what? I mean, I'm not sure how many newspapers. I mean, I do know. So since I go to shul very early, I see the delivery guy. So he delivers stock. I don't know how many, 10, 12 newspapers. I don't know how many. Not too many. Let's put it this way. But in olden days, you see like 10 times more, 20 times more newspapers, right? So, but they still sell paper newspapers. So they send this guy to the store. I mean, he knows that he buys newspaper. He reads the sports section, whatever he reads. I don't know. He's not Jew. There's no problem, right? But unfortunately, other Jews, they're very interested they make themselves breaks in the middle of prayers. And they come to read newspaper. Unfortunately, before the prayers, after the prayers, which is not proper to do. And one guy, right? So with big mouth. So he was reading newspaper when I came, and he started talking to me. Like it's in that area. It's not shul area, right? It's like vestibule, right? So you can talk there. So I said, but there is a halacha. You're not allowed to read the newspaper, secular newspapers on Shabbos. He said, oh, I did not know. I'm sorry, I did not know. I said, yeah, but now you know, right? He said, yeah, okay, yeah, and he was continuing reading. So he told me that thank you for telling me. I mean, and I told him once, and he was continuing reading. And he's still until day he continued reading this new newspaper, right? But so this person, hopefully he's going to do teshuvah. He's lost cause maybe, unfortunately, right? Because people so addicted to news that they must know that what Trump say, what he did not say, who is going to be new mayor, old mayor, all of this. Did he vote? Like who did he check? Who is going to be controller, not going to be controller? All of these things, right? But some people are very receptive, right? And I love these people, and HaShem bless me that. Many people who I'm in touch, they're very receptive. You told them it's not allowed. That's not allowed. That's it. It's done. One time it's done. So meaning this person is going to be forgiven right away because a person did not know. As soon he or she learned first time, it's not allowed. That's it. Right. So that's the best candidate to have any yeshiva. Continue. Although the climbing down from the tree is also considered making the use of the tree. It is meant in the momentary use of it, whereas remaining on a tree is considered a continuous use. One must therefore opt to the lesser prohibition, namely climbing down from the tree. Right. So it's very interesting point. So as he said on previous page. So you're not allowed to remain on the tree. So every extra second that you remain on the tree, you're using the tree. So again, every second new prohibition. So a person have to climb down. But again, if you climb down, you're still using the tree. Yes, but we choose the lesser of two evils. So you use the tree for a shorter period of time, climb down, then continue staying on the tree and use for extended period. Right. So sometimes is what? Right. Sometimes you need to do something that is still prohibited, but in order to stop the prohibition, the bigger scope of prohibition, we need to remain on the tree. So again, first case, when person did not know. Second case, climbing with the knowledge of the prohibition. If one was aware of the prohibition and intentionally climbed up the tree on Shabbos and subsequently regretted his action, he must remain on the tree until after Shabbos. That's the case that I said before. I think last week or so. This penalty was enacted in order to prevent one from transgressing the prohibition at some time in the future. Right. Nevertheless, others are permitted to give him items while he remains on the tree. Thus, one may give him food, clothing, etc. However, the items must be given directly to him and not permitted to place the items on the tree, because by doing so, one is using the tree. If person is on a tree, feels that he will become ill, or if he remains on a tree, or he needs to perform his bodily function, it is permitted to climb down from the tree on Shabbos. So let's review that very interesting halacha. Right, and sometimes people do things because of this spur of the moment, and then they regret. Right, then they regret. So it's a second category of people, right? And this person is actually being punished to remain on a tree. It's very interesting. Because why? Because initially he rebelled against Hashem. So meaning what? Even though it says that the higher you become spirituality, the higher you grow with spirituality, your Eitz Hara is also grows. Right? It's in a balance. Right? So meaning a person say, yeah, my Eitz Hara is big, so that's why I did. No. When you grow spiritually, you have more instrument, more tools, more tools how to handle Eitz Hara. In a sense, you would remind yourself that the punishment, right? Or you will remind yourself the consequences. Yeah, maybe I want to climb the tree, but guess what? I'm going to stay there until I really want to go to the bathroom, or until I cold, or until I fell off the tree or something, where I sleep, right? So meaning, I don't know, a few hours per person might stay up on the tree. Okay, so from the beginning. If one was aware of the prohibition and intentionally climbed up the tree on Shabbos and subsequently regretted his action, he must remain on the tree until after Shabbos. So if he's not going to fall sick or something, I mean, maybe it's a mincha, right? Around mincha time, let's say 3 hours before the Shabbos ends, 2 hours, 4 hours. I mean, maybe 4 hours is so much, but 3 hours, let's say. He went to the bathroom, he ate, so he's fine. Right, so and he climb on the tree, so we make him stay up on the tree until the Shabbos ends. Okay, so I mean, I think it's realistic example. This penalty was enacted in order for to prevent one from transgressing the prohibition at some time in the future. So as we always say, Torah gives us educational punishment. So not punishment for a past which would serve no purpose. Right? I mean, what for example, if a person change his ways, right, and he's no longer doing that, so what is the purpose to punish him for? What? You understand? But if we still like a person that done the teshuvah, and for him to learn a lesson the hard way, so yes, we're going to punish him. Okay. So it's all for a future time, lesson for a future time. Educational punishment. Nevertheless, others are permitted to give the items while he's on a tree. I mean, again, it depends how high he is, right? So we cannot climb the tree to give him items. Maybe if you have a ladder or something, like this, like independent standing, like the one that does not lean on a tree. Or you can throw up an apple or some a bottle of water, for example. Okay. Thus, one may give him food, right, clothing, etc. So, blanket or a jacket or something. However, the items must be given directly to him, and not put. One is not permitted to place the item, on a tree, because by doing so, one is using the tree. So right, even though we're allowed to give items, so we cannot put it on a branch, so he can reach and get the item. Okay, we got the point. If the person on a tree feels that he will become ill, right? If he remains on a tree, right? Or if he needs to perform the bodily function, he's permitted to climb down from the tree on Shabbos. Right. So again, if person feels that we become ill, so that's now it's a legitimate reason to allow him to go down, or he needs to go to the restroom, as we learned from Rambam. Right, we're not allowed to hold ourselves back. Right. So meaning in this case, a person is doing the mitzvah. So right, and we allowed him to climb down. But even like if he would stay there half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever is it, so I think a person is going to remember this lesson. Okay. So next one, climbing with the knowledge of the prohibition before Shabbos. If one climbed the tree before the start of Shabbos, So before the sunset, let's put it this way, right? And remain there until Shabbos began. One is permitted and required to climb down immediately. This applies even if he was aware of the prohibition to remain on a tree during the Shabbos and intentionally delayed coming down. So let's try to understand this case, which is very different from two previous ones. So again, climbing with the knowledge of the prohibitions before Shabbos. So meaning he climbed before the sunset for whatever reason, then remained until Shabbos began. So I guess until it began. When it says began, I think it's after bein Hashemashos, after the nightfall, right? He's permitted and required to climb down immediately. So meaning what? So he when he climbed up, it was permissible, and right. So now he's not allowed to no longer stay on the tree. So we require him to climb down. This applies even if he was aware of the prohibition to remain on a tree during the Shabbos, right? During the Shabbos, in intentionally delay coming down for whatever reason. I mean, I don't have a good example why would a person intentionally delay it. I don't know. He was trying to take a cat down. The cat got stuck in the tree, right? Or some toys. Children play with the toys and they shoot the toys like very high up, and he was trying to get down. Maybe the branch broke. I don't know. So, but he was afraid to go down. Right. Some people when they climb up, they're big heroes, but they look down and they scared, and they freeze. You understand? And it's understandable when you climb up, so you don't see it. So that's what our sages teach us when you climb down. So don't look down, just look at your immediate surroundings and hold tight, and that's it. So let me quickly check time. How much time we have? So let's do a little further. So number 2, leaning or sitting on a tree. One is forbidden to place his weight against the tree on Shabbos. Placing one weight against the tree is defined as leaning in such a manner that the tree would be, if the tree would be removed, one would fall. So right. Leaning to this extent against the tree is considered using the tree. One is, however, permitted to lightly lean against the tree. For example, he would for example, he would not fall if the tree were removed. This type of leaning is not considered using the tree. However, if this is only true, if the tree does not bend or sway when leaning on it. Similarly, sitting on a tree is forbidden. Let's finish up. Similarly, the sitting on a tree is forbidden because one is using the tree. It should be noted that leaning and sitting is only forbidden if the height of the tree 3 tefachim, approximately 12 inches, or more. If, however, the tree is less than 3 tefachim, one is permitted to lean on a tree or sit on a tree. Okay, so let's review this and we start. So from the beginning, one is forbidden to place his weight against the tree on Shabbos. Placing one weight on a tree is defined leaning on a tree, right? So what does it mean, leaning on the tree? Leaning on the tree, meaning if they would remove the tree, the person would fall. And this halacha is actually the same halacha we learn in the laws of praying Shmona Esrei, right? Praying Shmona Esrei, we said that the person must pray while standing. What does it mean, standing? Standing meaning that he's not or she's not supported by anything. So, but sometimes a person like us praying next to a desk, right? So and put touch with fingertips like a desk. So meaning there is no real leaning on the desk, so it would be allowed. So, but if a person lean like more heavily on something like with a hand or with a fist or something like that. Meaning, if this desk would be removed, a person would fall. That's not considered to be standing, even though like you see a person standing standing tall, but halachically it's not standing. It's leaning. It's like almost sitting. And same is actually halacha. I'm going to remind you. We said in halachas we said about reading from the Torah, and there is some clowns. I'm not sure why would they do that. They always lean on a bima. So bima for the place from which the Torah is read. It's not allowed. It's absolutely not allowed to lean. And these two people, Rabbi and other people. So if person is tired, if he's elderly, so let him sit. Like it's not. There's no such obligation to hear the Torah reading while standing. Okay, it's commendable if you want to do that. That's amazing. You're going to get all of the blessings. But still, if you sit while reading of the Torah, there is no problem. During the borchu, yes, you must stand. That's universal. But during the reading itself, no problem. So this Gabbai or somebody, they ask somebody to stand, and they lean on a bima. Absolutely forbidden. Especially there is Sefer Torah is leaning there. And same with this Oleh, right? The person who was called to the Gatalia. So sometimes they lean. Sometimes I like try to remove their hands. Sometimes they understand. I cannot speak. For example, I was the one that got Aliyah before, and now he's good. I mean, sometimes it's elderly person, we just let it go. But sometimes younger people, I mean, they want to lean. The person is healthy. I mean, from outside at least, maybe internal there's something wrong. I don't know. But so again, what is leaning? Leaning is when this object is removed, a person is going to fall. So meaning that's it's universal halacha. Very very important to know that, right? So know when you allow when you are required to stand, that's what it means standing. Okay. This type of the leaning is not considered right. So but if he only lightly lean on a tree, so meaning if a tree is removed, he's going to stand, right? Then it's I mean right. If he's not going to stand, he's not going to fall. So meaning it's not considered to be leaning, and it is allowed. However, this is only true if the tree does not bend or sway when leaning on it. So meaning that young trees, right? If it's like I don't know, so maybe this year they just planted this year, like younger trees. So maybe it's not that strong and it would move. But older trees, usually like more stronger one, it's not going to move, of course. So, but still, we have to be careful not to remove any bark, right, from the tree. Also very important. But it's not going to be a problem with leaning, but other problem. Continue. Similarly, the sitting on the tree is forbidden because one is using the tree. And sometimes, like we have now botanical garden. I have not been there for a very long time. I don't know, many years. But I remember there are old trees from they say from I don't know 1800s or something, like old tree. Like it has support. It's a very old garden, right? So and has some branches like almost like horizontal to the ground, right? It's very very heavy, very strong. It has supports because they don't want it to break. And of course there is a sign not to sit, but technically it would be very very comfortable, like convenient to sit on that branch, right? Because of the heights, right? But of course it's higher than 3 to 5. Right. It should be noted that leaning or sitting only is forbidden if the height of the tree is 3 tefachim, approximately 12 inches or higher. So, right, as we said, same with roots and same with the stem. If however the tree is less than 3 tefachim, 12 inches, right, one is permitted to lean or sit on a tree. Okay, so let's I think stop here. To be continued. Right, so it's very interesting topic. Right, So let's do 5 minutes break and we continue with other topics after the break. 5 minutes.